Here we are live once again. Really glad to have you with us today. I want to introduce you to somebody before we get started. Most of you have met her before, but I want you to meet her again. Please welcome my wife, Jane, into the
Hi,
frame.
everybody. It's fun that we're doing it in the studio today as
Yeah.
opposed to in your office.
Yeah, we're
which is
down in our
exciting.
home studio today. We call it the Wayne Global Studio. And the reason we're here is because I'm doing this session, and then right after I've got a Q&A session we're doing for our
Right.
Wayne Global community.
I have
And
a
then
busy day today.
and then right after that, speaking for the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa in Cape Town.
Wow.
So it's like back to back to back. And isn't it great that
It's
we
cool
can
that
do
you don't have to fly.
I don't have to fly. I don't have to change.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm really lucky, I can go to the bathroom between them. But we couldn't do all of that without this technology
It's so
now.
awesome. This is the
Yeah.
benefit of COVID.
It is
Yeah.
benefit of going virtual. So we're
Yeah.
so glad you could join us today.
And what are you going to be sharing today?
So today is really about this. So many coaches and consultants are masters at their craft. They're so good at what they do, but they often get caught up in this competition thing. And oftentimes we hear, and you hear this too with your clients, is we recommend they raise their fees,
Yeah.
and then they'll say things like, "Well, then I would be out of range."
Yeah.
Right? And
True.
this is the going rate.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about how can you actually double your fees or
Wow.
more and still beat the competition.
Great topic. I love
Yeah.
the topic.
Yeah, it's going to be really
Yeah,
exciting.
it is
So
gonna be
going to
exciting.
do a little demonstration for folks here, and we'll hope that they'll participate. And then by the end of the session, my hope is that you're going to have a pretty clear idea that you can double your fees or even more and still win business from the competition.
Awesome.
Because our fees, I mean, particularly my fees over time, before when I met you, my fees were at a certain range.
Yeah.
They have gone up over 50 times, over 50 times since then. Like
Hard
that's
to believe, right?
I know.
How many years is that? Like 6 years?
6 years, something
Yeah.
like that. And so
Wow.
we're going to talk about why that is possible. And I'll give you a few little tips on how to start
Nice.
that process.
Well, I'm going to let you get going.
Okay.
All right.
All
Have a
right.
good
Thanks for
one.
dropping by.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Once again, welcome everybody. My name is Steve Lowell, coming at you from our home studio in beautiful Ottawa, Canada, where it is a hot one today. It is like 32 degrees Celsius, which is, I don't know, 112 or something Fahrenheit. And it's one of those like really hot, muggy days. So I'm really happy to be down here in our home studio presenting this to you today. So let's talk about this concept of raising your fees or even doubling your fees or more and still winning the business from your competition. And I'll tell you that this is kind of what happened to me. So I'll tell you a little story. When I first met Jane, before we were actually a couple, my business had hit a plateau and I couldn't really break through that ceiling for some reason. Well, a whole bunch of reasons. And so Jane, as many of you know, is known around the world as the 7-figure mindset mentor. Now, I didn't really know her in that capacity at the time because we were colleagues more than anything. She had hired me to help her with her speaking and presenting. And, through becoming friends, this conversation came out. And she offered to help me with my mindset. And so I'm thinking, I got a great mindset. I've been doing personal development since 2004. Like I wrote the book on this stuff. Well, I was pretty wrong. And I won't go through all the things that she helped me with. That's for another conversation. But I will tell you this. One of the things that she said to me during that conversation was, she said, I want you to double your fees. And I thought, there's no way I can double my fees. I'm having a hard enough time getting people to hire me and pay my fees now. And every time I would have a prospect, I would get into that whole thing where, I would say, this is my fee. And they would say, well, I can't afford it. And I'd say, okay, well, I'll give you a discount. And they would say, well, how about payments? And I would say, okay to payments. And I was doing all of this negotiation just to try and get them to hire me. So when she said to me, double your fees, I just thought I don't see how that's even going to happen. So I agreed to double my fees. So the next time I had a prospect, I said the new fee and I stumbled. It was like I had to force it out of my mouth because it was just so hard to say that number. and believe it that anybody would actually pay that number. So I got the fee out. I didn't make the sale. And then I tried it again with another prospect, and I got the fee out. It wasn't quite as hard the second time, but I got it out of my mouth, and I didn't make the sale. But then the third time I tried it, I got the fee out, and it came out with a little bit more confidence, I guess, and I got the sale. And I learned so much just from that little experience, because here are a couple of things that I learned. Number one is I could afford to lose the sale. I couldn't in my head because I needed every dime that was coming in to my life. But I lost the first sale and nothing bad happened, except I felt a little sting of pride, And then I lost the second sale. Nothing bad happened, except I lost the sale and I had that little sting, And then the third one, I got the sale. Now, what happened when I got the sale was that my belief systems completely elevated to an entirely new level. Now that was my fee. That's my fee now. And I could say it with confidence because I had proof of concept, right? And then Jane had me double my fees. And over a period of time, my fees went up by 10 times, by 20 times. And my fees now are I kid you not, are 50 times what they were back then. And people pay these fees. Now, it wasn't just the belief systems that made this happen. Now, the belief system was foundationally important. And today's session is not about belief systems, it's about something else. But the belief systems were foundationally important in allowing what I'm about to share with you to actually work. So what happened over time was, as Jane and I became friends and then a couple, and then we got married and joined our businesses together. Now we operate one business together, and we've gone global, and we've broken that 7-figure barrier, and we operate at that level now. But there was a whole bunch of things that happened during that journey that brought us to where we are. And I want to share one of them with you today. So to get us started, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you 4 different fictional people, and we're going to do a little exercise. So here's where I want you to get into your head right now, okay? I want you to get into this space. You're a business coach or a consultant or whatever it is that you do. You are looking for a business coach. For regardless what kind of business you're in, whether you're a coach, a consultant, a trainer, a speaker, an author, whatever it is, I want you to put yourself in this space where you are looking for a business coach. Okay, and you're looking for a business coach because you want to increase your sales. So you're looking for a coach and you want to increase your sales, and that's why you're looking for a coach. So let me take you over to here. So I'm going to introduce you to the 4 people. Here's the first person. The first person is coach number 1. When you speak to coach number 1 shows you his unique 4-step system to help coaches and consultants increase their sales. He also shows you some testimonials. He shows you some statistics of success. And you feel like he's very qualified. You like the system that he's shown you. You like this person, and his fees are in the range. You can afford this person's fees. So that's coach number 1. Then you go and see coach number 2. Now, coach number 2, she shows you the outline of her 8-week coaching program, and it looks really good. And her program is designed to help coaches or consultants or professionals just like you to increase their sales. You feel like this coach is qualified. She's got some testimonials. She's got some case studies of success. You like the system you see, and you can afford her fees as well. And then there's coach number 3. Coach number 3 promises you amazing results, and she is very confident that she can help you reach these really amazing sales results. She shows you all of her credentials, all of her success stories. She's educated, she's experienced and certified and all those things. And you feel like that she is also very qualified. You like her, you believe in her system, and you can afford her fees. Then you go and you speak to coach number 4. Now, coach number 4 shows you a demonstration that educates you as to why you're not making the money that you should be making. And coach number 4 shows you exactly what's causing you to be stuck at the income level that you're at. And based on his experience, he explains exactly what you need to elevate your income even higher than you thought you could. Now, you feel like you've learned something new after you're finished speaking with coach number 4, and you have more clarity around why you have not been able to increase your income. And this coach, he seems to understand your business a little bit better than the others. And you see this person as a real expert, and his fees are double the other coaches. And even though it may stretch you a little, you can afford his fees. And so my question is to you, which of these coaches are you going to select? Now, I don't need you to answer in the chat window or anything. I just want you to think about it. And here's my belief. My belief is that if you were to visit all 4 of these coaches, one of 2 things would happen. At the very least, you would be thinking about coach number 4, and you'd be thinking about, okay, this coach has everything everybody else had, but his fees are double, but there's something here that the others didn't have. And you may not even be able to put your finger on it, but at the very least, my guess is that you would consider how you could get coach number 4. How would you be able to work in those fees? Now, the more likely scenario is, even though it stretched you a little bit, chances are good that you would hire coach number 4. Everything else being equal. Now, I understand there's some folks out there watching this and they're thinking, well, it would really depend on this, and this. Let's say that all of those other factors are all equal. So in the scenario that we've built for you here, coach number 1, 2, and 3 are all viable candidates. They were all qualified to help you. You liked their systems. You liked them personally. You felt like they could do the job and you could afford their fees. But then coach number 4 comes along and he didn't show you his system. He didn't show you his solution. He didn't show you his 5 strategies, his 6 secrets, his 4 foundational principles. What he did was he educated you so that you learned something new and maybe changed your perspective a little bit on what your situation was. And you saw him as different than the other 3. The other 3 you saw as qualified, capable, professional coaches. But number 4, you saw as what I call an authority or an expert in his field. And he had something different that the others didn't have. So what is it that coach number 4 had that the others didn't have? And that's what I want to share with you today. You see, here is the typical sales process for most of us as coaches, consultants, as thought leaders, as experts in our field, even as speakers and trainers. Here is the typical sales process. You tell me, if you're the prospect, you tell me what your problem is, what you need. I will show you that I have it, and I will make it affordable so that you can hire me. So my natural response as a coach, trainer, consultant is to basically say, look, you tell me what you need. I have that. Here's how much it costs. Let's make a deal. And the problem with that basic approach, now, obviously, some of us go into much more detail. Some of you ask questions and you do a lot more, digging, but the process is basically the same, right? What do you need? Yes, I can help you. Let's do business. And the issue with that process is that everybody does it that way, even if they're using different words, even if one person converses more and asks more questions, the process is basically the same. You tell me what you need, I tell you I can solve it, here's how I can solve it, then let's do some business. But coach number 4 didn't do that. And Jane and I don't do that. We have built a business, a global business, around not doing that. In fact, what we've done is we've looked back over our business, over our career together, and we sort of dissected or unlocked all the things that we've done that put us into the global space, that helped us crash through that 7-figure space. And we figured out what all those pieces are. And we now call it the perfect sales system. But I want to show you just a tiny little piece of why coach number 4 was at least in high contention, if not the first choice in the scenario that we just talked about. So let me get my flip chart and I'll show you what this is. Now, some of you have seen this before, and that's okay because this is a refresher. And if you're seeing it for the first time, then I want you to pay special attention to this, because I'm going to show you something that is going to explain exactly how you can double your fees and still get the business. So your value in the mind of your prospect is determined by their perception of you. And it's how your prospect perceives you to be what I call an authority in your field. So I call that your perceived stature of authority, where you sit in the mind of your prospect as an authority or an expert in your field. And so with the coaches that I presented before you today, 3 of them resonated with you as good qualified coaches, but only 1 would have resonated with you as an actual expert. So here's how this works. Your market or your prospects are looking at you and they're thinking to themselves, where does this one fit in terms of all the others? Is this person, is this coach, is this consultant, is this trainer the same level of expertise as everybody else, or where do they fit? And what I've found is that there are 4 different levels of perception, 4 different levels of your perceived stature of authority, and these are them. And I call this the Repumeter. And the Repumeter is a tool that measures the state of your reputation in terms of where you sit in the mind of your market or of your prospects as the true expert or as the authority. So there are 4 different states on the Repumeter. And the first state is what I call obscurity. Now, obscurity means that your prospect doesn't really know who you are, doesn't really know what you do very well. And we can apply this to your market. If you're in a state of obscurity, it means that your market generally doesn't really know who you are, generally doesn't really know what you do. Now, you know you're in a state of obscurity when these things are happening. You know you're in a state of obscurity when that proverbial phone isn't ringing and people are not calling you to ask how they can work with you. You are not getting a lot of referrals, and you have to go out there and dig for business. And you're always trying to become visible. You're always trying to get noticed. And your main job is to sort of go out there into the world and say, hello, world, I'm here. Look at me. And you're always doing things like updating your website, updating your LinkedIn profile, writing new books, writing new blogs. All of that is good. We should be doing that anyway. But the reason you do it is because you want to become noticed. Now, when you're in front of a prospect, you're in obscurity when the prospect starts asking questions like, can you tell me what you do? Tell me a little bit about who you are. And the prospect is looking for very basic information. That's when you know you're in obscurity. And it's really hard to generate business in obscurity because you've got to work so hard to get in front of the prospect. And then once you are in front of the prospect, you've got to work really hard to get them to say yes. And so you feel like you're proving yourself, and it's almost like you're in an audition or in an interview. That's what it feels like when you're in a state of obscurity. And then the next level on the Repumeter is what I call the state of competitive. Now, competitive means you're in the game. It means that your prospect or your market, they have a pretty good idea of who you are and what you do. But there's nothing in their mind that separates you from everybody else who does what you do. You're like one of those first 3 coaches that I represented to you. You may be qualified, you have all the credentials, you've got all the right things, but let me just check somebody else because I want to compare to somebody else. You're kind of in that state. And you know you're in competitive when these things are happening. You know you're in competitive when you might be starting to get some referrals, but primarily what happens is people are coming to you to compare. They want to find out, how does your program work? How long is it? What does it look like? What's involved? How much does it cost? And they want to get all of those details before they make a decision. And you know you're in competitive when they say things like, okay, this sounds really great. Now I'm just going to go and check with a couple of other options and pick the right one. And so at competitive state, what you end up doing is you often negotiate your fees. You may not lower your fees, but you might do things like throw in bonuses or extend the time or offer payment plans, or you're making every concession that you can reasonably think of in order to get that person to hire you and not one of your competitors. And the reason you do that is because you know that if you don't offer them the right deal, there is somewhere else that they can go in their mind. They don't see you as the only logical choice. And it's difficult to operate here too. I know so many people operate here for years and years and years. And what makes it difficult here is this is where you typically hit some kind of a plateau. It's really hard to get beyond this point for most people because we get caught up in this cycle of giving discounts. And now we're locking ourselves into competitive. And then the third spot on the Repumeter is a spot that I call branded. Now, branded means that in the mind of your prospect or in the mind of your market, there is something different about you, but they're not really certain yet what it is. That, maybe they've read your book, or they've seen you on a LinkedIn Live, or they've seen you speak, or they've read some of your articles or something, and they've had some sort of exposure to you, and they're kind of in their mind going, okay, maybe I should look at this one. And they're trying to define what's different about you. And this is a very mission critical spot right here, because what happens in so many cases is those prospects, they're looking for something specific when they come and speak with you. They're looking for validation that you are different than the others. And if you don't provide that validation, then your reputation or your perceived stature of authority just drops right back down, and you become just another one of the others. And so as a coach or a consultant or a thought leader, as an expert, as a trainer, as a speaker, all of us who are out there doing what we do, we need to be aware that when we meet with a prospect, or when we speak with an audience or do a presentation, we need to understand where we sit in this cycle, because that's going to drive how we respond. And oftentimes we can lose the sale just by not doing the proper things to differentiate ourselves. So a prospect comes to see us and we start saying things like, well, here's my program. Here's my 6 strategies or my 4 secrets. And here's how it works. Here's my 8-week system. And it costs this much. And this is what we cover. And this is how it works. And this is how much it costs. And now you're speaking and sounding exactly the same as everybody down here. So where we want to be, where we really need to be, is over here at a space that I call V1. Where you emerge as the unmistakable authority in your field. This is how you double your fees and still keep the business, by being V1 in the mind of your prospect. And you can apply this to your entire market across the globe. But right now we're talking about the prospect. So when you're sitting in front of a prospect, Your job is to position yourself as the only logical choice. And the way you do that is not by telling them how great you are, not by telling them about your program, not by your testimonials, not by your statistics. It's not by your 5 secrets or any of those things. So the first 3 coaches that I showed you, they all were doing that. They operate here at a level of competitive. All of them qualified, all of them good, all of them have a program. You like them all, you can afford them all, and yet really difficult to pick between number 1, number 2, or number 3. But number 4 was different. Number 4, equally qualified, equally experienced, equally everything, but never demonstrated the product, never talked about the solution, never talked about price or fees or any of those things. So what is it that coach number 4 had that the others didn't have? And that is right here. This is what coach number 4 had that the others didn't have. And I call it expert insights. Now, expert insights is part of what we call our perfect sales system. Expert insights is basically this. Expert insights is where you demonstrate a unique understanding of your prospect's problem or of your prospect's world from a perspective your prospect has never considered before. So let me repeat that, and then we'll see if we can make sense of it. So expert insights is where you demonstrate a unique understanding of your prospect's world or your prospect's problem from a perspective they have never considered before. You see, if you want to position yourself as the only logical choice in the mind of that prospect, then what you need to do is you need to do much more than impress them with your program and with your credentials and with your track record of success and with your testimonials. All of those things are important, but they're not differentiators. The way you position yourself as the one is by changing your prospect's perception, changing the way they think. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to start thinking about your world and your prospects. How can you start changing the way your prospects think about their business and their behavior? What have you got that can offer them so that they look to you and say, I've never heard it quite like that before. That's interesting. So that's the key. It's about making sure that you do more than present your solutions and your strategies and your fees and your credentials and your history. You need to shake their beliefs, you need to rattle their paradigms, and you need to change the way they think about their condition or about their situation. Now, to help you do that, we have something coming up that it's a couple of hours, a morning event, and we're calling it this. We call it the Perfect Sales System Intensive. The Perfect Sales System Intensive is a morning workshop from 10 a.m. to about noon with some bonus stuff if you stick around for it. And in that the Perfect Sales System Intensive, here's what we're going to cover. You're going to discover what we call the keys to unlock your perfect sales system to get your business off to the races. Now, you'll see RACES is an acronym for a very specific reason. You'll find out at the event, but we want you to start driving sales. Now, this virtual experience is for you if sales is your number one priority in your business. If you are at the point where sales are becoming a priority for you, and that should be all of us, by the way, then this program, this 2-hour event is going to be for you. So here's what you're going to be able to know after this event. By the time this event, this 2 hours or so is over, you're going to be able to understand 3 specific secrets. And the first one is how to ethically get more people to want to give more money to you instead of giving it to your competitors. we're going to show you the perfect sales system that we use to make exactly that happen so that you can double, triple, quadruple your fees and still get the business and do it ethically and do it authentically. The second secret you're going to know is how to copy our entire sales strategy and make it yours. You're going to know precisely how we built the global 7-figure business, and we're going to give you the steps that you can then take and make them your own over time. You're going to know exactly how to do that. Hold on one second. I'm having a technical issue with my computer. I'm hoping my computer doesn't die. It's possible. I'm just going to sort of try and keep going here, okay? Okay, the next piece that you're going to see. Oh, no. I'm getting this, this death message on Google Chrome telling me that it's caused an error and it's going to quit. So I don't even know if this is working. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit and come back in, okay? And hopefully this is going to work. But my computer, I don't know if you're even hearing me right now because my computer is absolutely frozen. Yeah, I'm going to have to totally come back out. Oh, I think maybe I'm back. Maybe I'm back. I don't know if you lost me or if I'm back, but let's see if I'm back here. Let's stand by for 1 second, okay? I'm going to come back into this. No, I think I'm absolutely frozen, dead in the water. Oh my goodness. Holy cow, this is just crazy here. Babe, if you can hear me, can you come and confirm that people can at least hear me? Because I can't really right now. My computer is just totally frozen. Okay, I'm not sure that anybody's hearing me right now. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do, folks. If you can hear me, I'm just going to tell you what's happening or what you can look forward to here. And I'll tell you what, if you can hear me, if you could, just type, I can hear you. Okay, so some people, we can hear you. Okay, good. So my computer is frozen solid here. But what I'm going to do is just sort of carry on with audio, and hopefully you'll be able to hear me. So you know what the first are. The second one is how you can copy our entire sales strategy and make. The third secret that you're going to get is how you can make money almost immediately, a perfect sales system, without matter how busy you are with other things. So just to recap very quickly, it's the Perfect Sales System Intensive, and it's on August 30th at 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. It's $179 US to join. You can find out more at stevelowell.com/events. And here's what you're going to get. You're going to be able to understand how to ethically